Good morning. You're listening to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance. And now, sharing his knowledge, here's your host, Matt Libby.
Good morning. Welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. It's the second Saturday of 2025. Got Bri back with me this week also. Just going to touch on some things. We talked a lot about the ACA stuff last week, but we're also going to maybe talk a little bit more Medicare stuff today. Just a reminder, the January 15th is the actual deadline for the open enrollment for the ACA healthcare marketplace, also known as Obamacare. That deadline is January 15th. So you haven't missed open enrollment. And even if you had a plan from last year, it re-enrolled you in that plan in January, you can still change your plan, and it'll change on February 1st. So, give us a call if that's something you need help with. Go ahead and add. Go ahead and add to that. You look like you were getting ready to say something.
No, I'm not. I'm good. Yeah, well, give us a call, and also don't forget those forms.
Yeah.
Forms
Bri
are very
reminded
important.
the last show about the forms, and one of the ones that's biggie is she talked about in the first part of the last show was the things we ran into last year of people getting their plans switched, people tricking them, from they get in the mail telling them that, hey, here's a spending card. There's no spending card for ACA. There are some, we'll send you a debit card that they will load amounts on when you do certain things, like get your checkup, get your immunizations. And I don't have an ACA plan, so I don't know what all of them are. But if you have like a rewards card with your plan, how does it, explain a little bit how that works, and without saying the company name.
Gotcha. On the account, there is a rewards program, and you can listen or read these 2 to 5 minute articles or videos about how to improve your health and get points for that.
Right.
Or they do challenges, big challenges, and you just track it and you earn points for that as well. And these points can be used towards amazing things. I'm talking kitchen appliances and outdoor stuff. But you can also get if you don't want any of the trinkets, you can get a Visa card, and 500 points gets you $500.
Okay.
Or excuse me, $50. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You can use that on utility bills.
Right. But
doctors.
You can earn up to like $500 over the year on that card, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like you don't get $500 just because you signed up.
Correct. You have to earn those points, and it's up to $500. So throughout the year, so you cannot go over $500. But it's been actually very useful. I've paid some doctor bills off, and with it, and copays, and it's been nice. So I would definitely take advantage of it if your carrier provides those reward programs.
Right. Well, that's like in Medicare, there are some plans that have some spending cards. I'm on Medicare now. I joked my wife and I went to Golden Corral for breakfast the other day, and I said, 2 old people's breakfast.
Oh, my.
Because they do have a senior price. The great thing was I was wearing my U.S. Army hat. She said, oh, yeah, and I'll give you a military discount, too. So I wasn't even thinking to ask for that. So I got the old people's price and the discount. And over 8, great deal. Over-the-counter benefits. Some of the things, again, you've heard me mention about the Inflation Reduction Act, which is going to cause some increased costs to the insurance companies for the Part D portion, and so they've cut back on some of their benefits. So my over-the-counter benefits not going to be as much this year as it was last year, but I did just before New Year's, the day or two after Christmas, I realized I was like, oh, I've got my $100 I need to spend. And so I got online and ordered my men's vitamins and some cough drops and just other little things that you would go to the drugstore and buy. I say drugstore, Walmart, Walgreens, Kroger, things that would be in the kind of the pharmacy department. Mm-hmm. But quite a few things. I mean, you can get Band-Aids, vitamins, all kinds of stuff. In fact, I think I maybe even ordered some baby wipes.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's not just considered, old people stuff, but it's a benefit, but it's a use it or lose it benefit.
Yes.
So, it was like, hey, some of the stuff, if people go, oh, but I can get that says it's $8 and I can get that at Walmart for $5. I'm like, yeah, but you're not spending the $5.
Right.
So it's like, use your allowance to get things that you would spend the money on, then you have that money for something else. And that's one of the things with the Medicare Advantage plans are some of those extra benefits can help you save. That's some of what, but don't get a Medicare Advantage plan just because you get the extra benefits. That's one of the things, one of the videos I was watching, somebody was breaking down the difference between Medicare Supplement and Medicare Advantage. And that was what it was talking about was the advertisements aren't advertising the medical benefits. They're advertising the extra benefits to get people to take a Medicare Advantage. I'm not slamming Medicare Advantage. I have one myself. But generally, I recommend most people when they're turning 65 to consider that Medicare supplement or Medigap, as we call it, the Plan G, the Plan N. You're going to pay for that, but in that situation, you're paying for coverage. Medicare Advantage, I always say, Medicare supplement, you're paying for coverage. You might not ever use it, so sometimes people feel they're wasting money. Medicare Advantage is pay as you go. If you pay your Medicare supplement and your drug plan, and I'll just use round numbers of, say you're spending $200 a month, and maybe you're adding dental to that. So with your Medicare supplement, your drug plan, and your dental, you're paying $200 out of pocket each month for your premiums on that. With a Medicare Advantage, a lot of times there is zero premium. Great. What if you have a really bad year? You're in and out of the hospital. You have to have an MRI. You have to have a surgery, and you're having co-pays for that. And that's why I say the pay as you go. Those things cost money. You go to ambulance and emergency room. You're going to have a copay for the ambulance and copay for the emergency room. If they admit you in a hospital, you won't have that. But again, a 1 day stay in the hospital is going to run you probably anywhere from $250 to $400 copay for that. So those things can add up. So you can have a Medicare Advantage. Maybe it has a $4,000 or $5,000 max out of pocket. If you have a bad year, you'll spend more money on that Advantage plan than you will a Medicare supplement. So that's why you want to weigh those options and not just go because the monthly cost is zero. It's just like when I talk to people on the drug plans. It's like, hey, you can have a really cheap drug plan and spend an extra $1,000 on your drugs for the year because you didn't want to pay $40 for a drug plan. That would have saved you that $1,000 in drug costs because of the way they covered it. It's just ironic how much I've used the example. I keep using this example because to me it's just a biggie. A $27 a month drug plan and a $95 a month drug plan. That $95 a month drug plan saved that person $400 to $500 over the whole year in costs. But the premium was higher. But that lower premium would have cost him more, actually. So, and that's what we do.
Right.
We figure that out for you.
Right. We have the tools and the knowledge to be able to do that for you. And also, Matt was talking about, the weighing the options of between a Medicare Advantage and a supplement. When you decide, oh, well, I just want that Medicare Advantage, and 2 years down the road, you do have a bad year. Okay, well, what if you have a really bad year, and now you're thinking, oh, well, Matt said something about that supplement plan. Well, you may not be able to pass that underwriting. And so then you are honestly stuck with an Advantage plan. Now, you can change your Advantage plan, but what are the odds that it's going to be any better from one plan to another in your situation?
Right.
So you're not thinking about today. You're thinking about the long term when you sit down and you go over your options. Right.
So we talked a little bit about enrollment periods, and that's one of the things like Bri was saying is like you can change your Advantage plan during during a valid enrollment period. Sometimes we love our acronyms. We'll talk about SEPs and AEP and OEP. And that's what drives me nuts when they talk about the fall enrollment period for Medicare. It's not open enrollment. It's annual enrollment.
It's annual.
Because right now we're in what's called the open enrollment period for Medicare Advantage, which confuses everybody. But if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, the first quarter of the year from January 1st to March 31st, you can change your plan if it's not the right plan. And because one of the things you have to deal with is networks. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the drawbacks of an Advantage over the Medicare supplement. There are no networks to deal with the Medicare supplement. If you like to travel, you like to snowbird, those things, the Medicare supplement is probably going to be still a better option for you. But the Advantage plan, you have those networks. Doctors leave networks, and they don't necessarily, it's not an annual thing of
First of the year.
First of the year, they change, and so that you have that. So when you're enrolling, in October and November for the following year, they're in network, or maybe you've been going to this doctor. Mm-hmm. And usually, though, the doctors, if they're going to leave the networks, they usually will send out letters, to their patients and say, hey, your plan is not. You're not going to be in network here anymore. You're either going to have to get a new plan or get a new doctor. Mm-hmm. And then we get a few people that come into us for that reason. So that's one of those downsides of Advantage. But as I mentioned, we have this open enrollment period. And I'm treading on thin ice here, or I'm not treading, or I'm on thin ice. I can't advertise the open enrollment period. I can't put a post out on Facebook or an ad in the newspaper and say, hey, you may be on the wrong plan. Call us. But as an educational thing, if you found out that, hey, your doctor's no longer in network, you may be able to switch plans. And there are some other special enrollment periods that we have availability to. As far as I know, we still have the disaster SEP from Hurricane Helene. Originally, when they first opened that up, it was just those few counties that were right there in East Tennessee, of course, western North Carolina, that were greatly affected. But it did affect the whole state. So they did extend a disaster SEP. So if you didn't make a change during the annual election period because you just got caught up, the election didn't help. That the election year always affects us, yes, because people just aren't thinking about it. They're more conscious of the election. So, but if you made a change, like if you picked a plan and then found out your doctor's not in network, that disaster SEP doesn't apply to you. You can't use it because you did use the valid enrollment period. But we're in the open enrollment period. You could make a change. It's only for someone who has a Medicare Advantage. If you've had a Medicare supplement or you missed enrollment for some reason, you want to change. You can't just use it to say, oh, I need to get a Medicare Advantage plan. You have to have a Medicare Advantage plan to make the change during this period. So it's a little different. If you're confused, it's okay. There's agents that are confused. I'm in Facebook groups every week. Hey, I've got a client. It's like, did you pass your AHIP? Yeah, AHIP's a test that we have to take every year to recertify. And it's kind of like some of the questions they're asking makes you wonder, did somebody take the test for them just so they had another salesperson, which is highly illegal to do. So we don't encourage that. But anyway, we're coming up on the break here, and we'll come back and finish up after these commercials.
This is David Price, your Twin Lakes Business Solutions Consultant. Are you or someone you know planning for college this year? Twin Lakes is proud to partner with the Foundation for Rural Service to provide graduating seniors in our service area scholarship opportunities to continue their education. FRS scholarships empower rural students to enhance their communities with valuable skills and experience. You may apply at twinlakes.net, but hurry, the application deadline is February 14th. Prepare for your future today.
The Upper Cumberland Habitat Restore in Cookeville is expanding their team with part-time positions available. They are seeking dedicated individuals who are passionate about community impact and customer service. Responsibilities may include maintaining an organized, welcoming store environment, assisting with donation acceptance and processing, and supporting daily operations. Ideal candidates are customer-focused, proactive, and committed to fostering a positive shopping experience. Joining their team offers a chance to make a meaningful difference. For more information, contact them at restore@uchabitat.org.
And now, back to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby Insurance.
All right, welcome back. Got reminded, because we chitter-chatter during the break. But something I realized I meant to talk to Bri on the last show, because I was kind of recap some of the things that, your growth. One of the things I've noticed is you were definitely making some professional relationships.
Absolutely. And
part of that has come from you subbing at the newest B&I group. I used to be in the lunchtime group and the that didn't work out very well. Bri went and visited the new morning group. I say new. I guess they've been at it about a year now. Everybody keeps calling it, but she's made some friends there, and then some of those friends are also with you in the Leadership Putnam, and then you've attended some of the networking with the young professionals and things.
Oh,
so,
yes.
And that's actually helped your business. Share a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So the Morning Bee and I've actually gotten quite a bit of referrals out of it, and for both ACA or Obamacare, we like those acronyms, and also Medicare as well. And the morning group is such a fun group of people. They're business, but know how to have a good time as well. I highly suggest or advise to visit, definitely. But I've made lifelong friends out of that group. Also joining the Highlands YP events. YP is Young Professionals. They have events typically once a month, and it's not just for the young professionals. A lot of the wiser professionals can go as well, and they give their knowledge and professional advice. And I have learned a lot and met a lot of people that help my business grow and get those referrals as well. Somebody asked me, asked Amber and I, why do you go to these things? Why, what's the big deal about these events? Well, it's to grow your business.
Yeah.
We work off of sales. We work off of referrals. That's our biggest source of income is, meeting people and them hearing, oh, well, I need insurance, or my grandparents need Medicare. Got the person for you.
Right.
So that's the biggest reason
being that
why
top
we
of mind.
go.
It's marketing. And it's like if you're in what gets me is the people who are in business. Or they have a business, but they don't see the value of networking or being in part of a referral organization. Or I've talked people I joined the Chamber of Commerce, when I first opened my business, but I didn't get any business out of it. And
Did you go network?
Yeah. What did you put into it? Did you go to you go to the networking coffees, go to ribbon cuttings, go to the Bizapalooza. We've been doing those, so I think we've been involved in the last 3, didn't we? We had one at Christmas time.
Yes.
We did the Christmas time last year.
Year, so 3.
Yeah. So we've done those 3, and I've gone to some. I think the year before, I maybe attended as just as an attendee, but we've had a booth, had a lot of fun.
Go just to attend. I mean, don't be a fly on the wall, or what do they call it, a flower on the wall, or
fly on the wall,
yeah,
or wallflower.
Wallflower. Actually talk and communicate and put your cards out. Poor Lena.
Make good door prizes.
Yes. Yes. Poor Lena. She's very shy. We love her to death. Lena is our receptionist. And we drug her to Bizpalooza this last time. And she actually started talking to a few people, but she's very shy. And I think we really got her out of her shell. And and taught her what it's like to network and market for the business. No, she's not an agent, but she still works at Matt Libby Insurance. She represents us. So, even if she doesn't have a card, hand out one of ours.
Right.
And so it's nice to see people blossom, because I was the same way.
Right. I was going to say, you were too.
Right. And even though I am a social little butterfly, meeting high professional people, it scares me. But now I just go up to them and say, "Hey, I'm Bri. How you doing?" No, but, so networking is definitely key for growth.
And you volunteered to come on this morning, didn't you?
Voluntold was more.
I did. I mean, I would shortly after I hired Bri, had her on the show the first time. Just the people. I think. Well, no, it would have been because it hasn't been like you were already an agent, but it was. Hey, people need to get to know you. And then Kalia had her on shortly after she started with us. Haven't been able to convince Lena to come on. It's like, I made the mistake. I asked her, hey, do you want to go on the radio with me tomorrow? No. I mean, it's like, I don't think I finished the question before she said no. So when I asked Bri, I asked a little more creatively, would you object to joining me on the radio? And she's like, I didn't give her because I said, I know if I ask you if you want to, I know the answer.
The guilt trip is what that was.
But she's here, and we have fun when we do it. But I always just get a kick out of it. People that oh no, I couldn't be on the radio. It's like, and there are people who, and I use this because I had an individual that it took me 6 months to get her on the show. She was like nervous about it, and I'm like, you teach classes, you get up in front of people, you work with the public. If you flub up, hey, that's what our producer's for. They'll edit that stuff out. So.
It's different. You say, you can talk, you can be on radio. It's a little more nerve-wracking when you get around all the stuff and, it's going out in public.
Right.
So.
What I enjoy this is a lot of times we're just having a conversation. Mm-hmm. And I always say it. I even told Jesse Flowers, it's like, I can preach insurance, but it's like, I don't want to preach every week.
Right.
But people enjoy that. But and I do feel like, well, I'm just repeating the same stuff, and I don't want to sound and I don't want to come off too pitchy. Mm-hmm. I'll talk about why I think it's important that you have a cancer plan, why it's important to have a hospital indemnity plan if you have a Medicare Advantage. And the neat thing is, and again, without being too pitchy here, we have plans that are guaranteed issue on those hospital indemnity plans. Bri mentioned about, hey, you got the Medicare Advantage, and then a couple of years later, you're starting to have some health issues and go, oh, I should have got that supplement, and now you can't.
Right.
You might still be able to get a indemnity plan that will still help cover some of those big copays. Now, what they do when it's a guaranteed issue is there's a time, not a time limit, but there's like an elimination period. There's a waiting period for it to cover certain things. One of the examples I'll use is someone who's diabetic, because usually that for a lot of plans, that D word's a knockout, period. You're just not going to get approved. But have plans that will take you. It'll reimburse so much per day for the days you're in the hospital. So I use diabetes as an example. If you have a diabetic, insulin shock situation that puts you in the hospital, well, if it's in that first 6 months of that policy, it's not going to reimburse because of the pre-existing condition. You had a pre-existing condition waiting period. Mm-hmm. But you've had the policy for a year and you have a heart attack. It doesn't matter that you had a stent put in 3 years ago. It's that pre-existing condition doesn't count now because you've had the policy for a year. And so it can come in. And I do it also now as a pitch. I'll kind of do it with someone who they like the idea of the Medicare supplement, but they look at the monthly premium and go, oh, that's just too much money. I think I want that zero premium Advantage plan. Let's take some of that savings and still fill some of the gaps of the Advantage plan. Mm-hmm. You can get a hospital indemnity plan and $10,000 worth of cancer coverage for around half or less than half of what it would cost you to go the Medicare supplement route. So, and the beauty of those plans are they don't go up as you get older. Medicare supplements do go up.
Yes.
So so you're covering yourself against some of those costs, because what insurance does is the exchange of risk. That's what we do. We're exchanging that monetary risk for covering something. That's what, so a lot of times people they want to get insurance for certain things because they just don't want to pay for it. It's like, that's not how insurance works. You can't wait until you have the need then get the insurance. Mm-hmm. In most cases, if it's not a guaranteed issue situation. A Medicare Advantage, your Medicare Advantage, the ACA marketplace plans, those are guaranteed issues. So it doesn't matter if you're in bad health, you can still get those plans.
That's a big question a lot of people ask as well.
Yeah, and a Medicare supplement is not your major insurance, so it is underwritten. The beauty is when you first turn 65, you have a 6-month period. They ask no health questions. So, again, if you're first turning 65, I generally recommend, if you're not in best health, let's go ahead and get the supplement if you can afford it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's still not affordable.
Right.
In the other cases, we talked about disability. If you're on Social Security disability after 24 months, you automatically go on Medicare, even if you haven't turned 65 yet. You have that first 6 months, you can get a Medicare supplement with no health questions. but you're probably going to be spending about $500 a month for that
Right.
plan. I recommend at that time, get a Medicare Advantage, because when you do turn 65, you get that do-over, as I call it. You can get a Medicare supplement, no health questions. The big drawback for most people on a Medicare Advantage is when they are older, when they're in their 80s and they move into assisted living or nursing home, and they can't get their health care from the facility because they're not in network with the plan they have. So that's when it's could be important to have an advantage. That's usually not going to happen to somebody that's 62 that retired early because they hurt their back. They got 3 years to do a Medicare Advantage, and then 65 we can get a Medicare supplement, and they don't have to worry about networks.
Right.
So those are some things we can do there. Parting thoughts?
No, just remember that we have moved. We've been there for a year. So,
Yeah, it's been almost a year now.
So if you have one of our old cards, we are no longer at the Willow office. We are on South Jefferson. And again, just give us a call, and don't gripe at Lena when she sends you those client forms. We do have to have those.
Right. And the two. One, we use what's called Retire Flow. If you're Medicare, and it'll ask you to list your prescriptions and your doctors, and then the last part of that form is what Medicare calls the scope of appointment form. We have to have that form before we can present Part D or Medicare Advantage options to you. So now if you're coming to the office, you can sign it at the office, but it does help us prepare for the appointment, especially if you can send us the drug list and the doctor list. Yes. We can already know, hey, we're not even going to talk about this plan. None of your doctors take it, or this one's only covering 5 of your 8 drugs, where this one will cover all 8. We'll look at those. The other is on the under 65, as we mentioned, because of the bad actors out there, as I use, the phrase I use, we have to have a consent form. Again, if you're coming to the office, you can sign it there, but it's just real simple. You click on the link, you type your name in a couple spots, click sign, and save and submit, and then we have that form. We have a copy of it, so we can prove that we did have your permission to access your Marketplace account. And that way, and if you already have a Marketplace account, we have that consent form. We can access the Marketplace and look at what you've applied for before, and kind of have an idea, see, oh, yep, and know if you want to change or keep the plan, or if you're going to change. So we're about out of time. Again, remember, at Matt Libby Insurance, we can cover you from head to toe. Doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg. Got questions or anything for the show, go to insurancematchmaking.com, and you can leave comments there. And hopefully you'll give us a call, and we can help you with your health, life, or Medicare insurance.
You've been listening to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance.